What has Nostradamus predicted about Donald Trump and the future? What did his prophecy say about the 45th President of the United States? Is he, as some conspiracy theorists suspect, the Antichrist? Nostradamus, the Donald Trump Prophecies. Michel de Nostradamus, the man, the myth, the prophet. To many, he is a seer of the future, but to even more, he is a charlatan. Whatever your position on this ancient French mystic, one thing is undeniable. His work has captured the imagination of millions. He was a scholar, astrologer, and healer. Some have described him as a true Renaissance man. But it was his 1555 book, The Prophecies, that cemented his place in history. This book is believed by some to have foretold hundreds of future events. These forecasts of fate are delivered as short, cryptic poems called quatrains, and they make for a dire reading if, as some online suspect, they predict the future of Donald John Trump and this Earth. Watch on to find out more. The Trump Prophecies. Here are two prophecies believed to reference Trump. The first goes, "The false trumpet concealing madness will cause Byzantium to change its laws. From Egypt there will go forth a man who wants the edict withdrawn, changing money and standards. The trumpet shakes with great discord, an agreement broken, lifting the face to heaven. The bloody mouth will swim with blood. The face anointed with milk and honey lies on the ground." Many suspect that the trumpet here is a reference to Trump himself. Nostradamus expert Arthur Evans, quoted by Inquisitor in 2017, says of them the following: "Someone has betrayed him, so now he is enraged. In the name of religion, he talks blood and ends up swimming in it. What is the land of milk and honey? It is, obviously, Israel. He's described his intentions of being a neutral broker between Israel and Palestine. The last line indicates to what he said about his big show of friendship and dirt he received in return for his efforts." Citing Nostradamus' followers, Inquisitor reports that they believe Byzantium may be referring to the United States here. That city is now modern-day Istanbul. The website goes on to say that Byzantium was once considered a mecca for immigrants that people would seek to live in and to travel to. Inquisitor speculates the same could be said of the US. But according to other corners of the internet, there are more quatrains that are believed to be related to Trump. Listen to this one. "The great, shameless, audacious brawler. He will be elected governor of the army. The boldness of his contention. The bridge broken. The city faint from fear." The Irish Mirror reports that some conspiracy theorists reckon that Trump is the audacious and shameless brawler in this prediction. Further, the website ancientcode.com believes this quatrain is proof that Nostradamus predicted Donald Trump. The prophecy also mentions that he will be elected governor of the army. The US president is the ultimate authority on all matters pertaining to the American military. But there are more that may be a reference to Trump. The Great Joker. Writing on exemplar.com, astrologer Sylvia Sky speculates that a series of prophecies tells the story of a great joker. A man who comes to power and moves to Asia and dominates them. Here is that story from Book 10, Prophecies 73 through 76. The present time together with the past will be judged by the great joker. The world too late will be tired of him, and through the clergy oath-taker disloyal. the year of the great seventh number accomplished, it will appear at the time of the games of slaughter, not far from the great millennial age, when the buried will go out from their tombs. Long awaited, he will never return in Europe. He will appear in Asia, one of the leagues issued from the great Hermes, and he will grow over all the kings of the East. The great Senate will ordain the triumph for one who afterwards will be vanquished, driven out. At the sound of the trumpet of his adherents there will be put up for sale their possessions, enemies expelled. Does all this refer to Trump? We do not know. But using numerology, Sky interprets the year 2023 as the number 7, also noting that this year is not far from the great millennial age that began in 2001. Sky writes that Trump holds this power in the story because he is in league with Hermes, the ruler of the Gemini sign, which also turns out to be the president's star sign, with the Senate confirming his win. But he's soon expelled and sent into exile, Sky notes. Sky speculates that the trumpet part here forecasts a leader's rise and fall. She also writes that his supporters, hearing their trumpet, sell their belongings, maybe even their souls or Senate seats. As many of you will likely know, the president was impeached last year by the House of Representatives and was put to trial. However, he was acquitted by the Senate. The Senate is a Republican majority and consists largely of Trump's party and allies. She ends her piece with the following note. Has this triumph already happened and the rest is unfolding? Your guess is as good as mine, or anyone's, but avoid hype and ignorance. We all must admit that of Nostradamus' 942 prophecies, so encrypted and vague, some of them, even by coincidence, must turn out to be true. For those interested in Sky's article, we've included a link below. No matter what your thoughts are on Nostradamus, it makes for an interesting read. But it is important to remember that you mustn't treat all of this seriously. These prophecies are quatrains, cryptic poetry written by a French astrologer over 500 years ago. And these prophecies have been interpreted over and over and over and over. Deciphering their true meaning would require building a time machine and traveling back in time to talk with Nostradamus himself. But what else is thought to have been predicted by Nostradamus about the current US president? Is he, as some suspect, the Antichrist? Writing in 2016, BuzzFeed noted at the time the most popular theory online among Nostradamus' believers was that Trump was the third Antichrist after Napoleon, then Hitler. According to Nostradamus lore, the third Antichrist is dubbed MABUS. For those of you who don't know, the Antichrist is exactly as it sounds. Someone who will oppose Jesus and take his place. He'll appear to be a savior, then he'll be the ultimate evil, the devil incarnate. Nostradamus expert John Hogue explains on his website Hogue Prophecy in a 2008 sample post from his book. He foresaw not one, but 3 antichrists. Each would be responsible for taking humanity one step towards the world's complete destruction. Investigators for centuries have entered the torrent of the prophet's vaguely punctuated stream of consciousness prose, or navigated the prescient shorthand in his 4-line quatrains to catch or commit an evil history before it happens. Hogue reckons the first 2 we mentioned earlier were on point, but he wrote that in 2008 and speculated that they were someone else. Hogue writes, Nostradamus gave the third Antichrist the following codename. He is MABUS. A number of notorious contemporary figures, still living or recently dead from the Middle East, can see their names spelled in the MABUS code. Hogue speculated in 2008, as others have, that the 44th President of the United States, one Barack Obama, could have been MABUS. But he also writes that it could have been a charismatic candidate who could be his successor. Could that charismatic candidate be Trump? Hogue also says the prophecy for the third Antichrist does not bode well. He writes, unlike the first 2, He is the first to die in a war he initiates at the sign of a comet, or a rocket falling out of the skies. World War III begins when MABUS dies a sudden death. The prophecy in question is this: MABUS then will soon die. There will come of people and beasts a horrible rout. Then suddenly one will see vengeance, hundred, hand, thirst, hunger, when the comet will run. Terrible times indeed. But it also sounds like something right out of a movie, right? Well, take it with a pinch of salt, Miss Dorian, because that, and everything leading up to now, was written by someone 500 years ago. So the question is, does MABUS refer to the third Antichrist? Well, let's investigate. As noted, some corners of the internet believe MABUS is Trump, Obama, and several other figures. But there is in all likelihood a simpler candidate, and he was someone from the time of Nostradamus. The real MABUS? This painting, Miss Dorian, is quite something, isn't it? This painting right here is a depiction of St. Luke painting Madonna, or the Virgin and her child. It shows St. Luke kneeling beside a prayer desk, with his right hand guided by an angel as he paints Madonna and the baby while they float in front of him. Let's take a closer look. An article in the Journal of Aesthetic Education notes that, as impressive as is the setting, the scene is remarkably intimate, the modest and deferential artist laboring to record an apparition that floats just before his eyes. Now, St. Luke is the patron saint of painters, and this same image has been painted many times throughout history. But what is so special about this painting? Is it this horned-looking fellow above them? No, for that appears to be Moses, holding the stone commandments. But what has this got to do with MABUS and the Antichrist? It isn't the painting, Miss Dorian. Rather, it is the painter. And his name was Jan Gossart. Not much is known about Gossart, but he was from an area of Europe known as the Netherlands. Not Holland as we know it, but the historical area of modern-day Belgium, Luxembourg and Holland. It means low countries, as in low-rising countries. Gossart was one of the most famous painters of his time, and was one of the first painters from his region to spend time in Italy during the Renaissance. He was a leader in his style, known as Romanism, and was all the rage across Northern Europe. But what has he got to do with MABUS, and more importantly, the prophecy? Well, for that, we must not look at the artist, but rather his other name. For you see, Jan Gossart was not just Jan Gossart. He was also more famously known as Jan MABUS. Who is Jan MABUS? This painter was born in 1478 and was famous throughout Europe. He died in 1532. He took the name MABUS from his hometown in France, Maubeuge. The Dutch name for it is MABUS. So let us consider the prophecy one more time. MABUS then will soon die. There will come of people and beasts a horrible rout. Then suddenly one will see vengeance, hundred, hand, thirst, hunger, when the comet will run. The first part refers to the death of MABUS. Gossart died in April 1532. And not long after he died, there was a comet in the sky that later said to be Halley's Comet. So what are we getting at here? Well, Miss Dorian, throughout history, there have been so many attempts to reinterpret these centuries-old quatrains to fit with the current times. Isn't it possible Nostradamus was familiar with the work of Jan MABUS, as well as his death and the comet above Europe? Isn't it possible that he was just referring to them here, rather than Barack Obama, Saddam Hussein, or Donald Trump? But whatever you believe, we'll leave that up to you. Nostradamus hoaxes. Some believed he predicted the election of George W. Bush in 2000, with the following quatrain. Come the millennium, month 12, in the home of greatest power, the village idiot will come forth to be acclaimed the leader. This sounds dead on. It mentions almost the exact year, 2000, country, the US being the greatest power at the time, and who many considered an idiot, George W. Bush. But it is a hoax. Fact-checking website Snopes.com reports that nothing in any of Nostradamus' writings resembles even slightly what this quatrain contains. The website says that this was just some election year humor that occurred in the year 2000. Another alleged prophecy that caught headlines is believed to reference none other than Psy, his hit Gangnam Style, and its rise to 1 billion views. It reads, "From the calm morning the end will come, when of the dancing horse the number of circles will be 9. Calm morning was said to reference Psy's home country, South Korea. In English, it is called the land of the morning calm. The dancing horse part was thought to be a reference to the dance style in the video, and the number of circles will be 9 was thought to reference the video's journey to 1 billion views, which was a first for YouTube in the year 2012. But, as with the Bush prophecy, this was never written by Nostradamus. In fact, it was claimed it was written in 1503, when Nostradamus had only just been born. The Psy prophecy was a hoax. The following is believed to foretell the Notre Dame Cathedral fire of April 2019. When the great cathedral glows red, so will begin the descent of man. This too is also a hoax. According to Snopes.com, Nostradamus never wrote nor predicted anything like it. The website predicts it was created in order to generate likes. And that's not all. Nostradamus and his quatrains have also been used in the battle for propaganda, specifically in World War II. German High Command during World War II is said to have believed in Nostradamus and his quatrains, and they also believed in the power of them. German forces are said to have airdropped leaflets across Germany and France containing false Nostradamus prophecies that predicted a crushing defeat of the Allies and others predicting a German victory. According to the book The Prophecy by Chris Kuznetsky, the British soon learned of this and then made their own false Nostradamus propaganda to counter the Germans, theirs foretold of an Allied victory. Further, the US even produced several movies about the astrologer during this time. One called More About Nostradamus was even nominated for an Academy Award for the Best Short Subject in 1941. Thank you, Mystorian, for watching. Did you like it? Give us a thumbs up and let us know in the comments below. But as always, this isn't goodbye. This is just until the next mythical video.